thin, singular column in his local newspaper, the Right Honourable MP for Blackburn, Mr. Jack Straw. Welcome, Mr. Straw. And in the course of the next few minutes, we'll find out if you can predict an end to what you've started. Joining you on our panel, Professor Ted Cantle is with us from the Institute of Community Cohesion, a gentleman who looked into very closely the riots that scarred some of our northern cities. Sitting next to him is Shanaz Hussain, magistrate and chair of Voice, an organisation working to tackle Islamophobia and also extremism. Welcome, Shanaz. To Mr. Straw's left, Dr. Amar Ahmed, a GP in Cheshire, and a man tipped as a future Conservative Party MP. You don't mind sitting next to a major member of the Labour Party? No, OK, good man. And finally, Margot Grimshaw, who is a reputed Blackburn businesswoman and columnist, and is in some cases known as the Queen of Blackburn. We also have an audience of around 100 people here, many of whom hold strong opinions, which you will hear in the course of this programme. And if you want to join the debate, you can also do so by going to the BBC website and clicking on Where I Live and tell us about your experiences. But first, we need to begin by reminding ourselves of where this all started.
The MP for Blackburn has revealed he asks Muslim women who come to his surgery if they would like to remove their veils.
I definitely haven't been forced into wearing it, I can tell you, and if somebody told me to take it off, I'd just be, you know, I'm sorry, it's just like if somebody told me to wear it 10, 15 years ago, I'd say, you don't want to know what I'd say.
On the BBC website, a huge response to this story, 12,000 emails so far, one coming in every 4 seconds.
I work in a customer's place as well. I deal with customers in and out. I would like to see a person's face.
I wouldn't ever think that Jack would mean anything bad by this.
Why can't people here conform to the ways of this country?
OK, first of all, I'd like to know what the ways of this country are, really. I mean, do we have a dress code for people of this country? I didn't think one existed.
A grey-haired man in his 60s suddenly began shouting racial abuse at the 49-year-old woman. He tore the veil from her face and walked off, leaving her extremely distressed.
We demand a public apology, Jack Straw. Jack Straw, you must know that we are not going to be oppressed by anyone, especially from the likes of you.
You are a wise politician, dare I say, without being too patronising. You knew that the brief article you wrote about your constituency surgery would set something in motion, did you not say?
No, well, I thought it would stimulate a debate locally. I never anticipated it would stimulate an international debate, which is what it has done with a great debate, for example, across the Middle East. But I think, if you ask me what my reflection is on the reaction, I think it touched an issue about the nature of our communities. And you said at the beginning, where's this going to end? Well, where I hope it's going to end is a better mutual understanding between two sets of communities, which I have observed have been drifting apart a little, and we will only get them back together, not to assimilate them, but to celebrate people's differences, but also to celebrate what we have in common, if we're ready to talk about these in a calm way.
Okay. Can I ask, Shanaz, are you glad the debate was opened by Jack Straw?
If we accept the intention was to open up this debate, that you had concerns that there were, you know, parallel communities, parallel lives, then that's something that I can work with and I can move on from there.
Well, Shanaz, can I just say that it's quite hard to say that I'm someone who criticises Muslims. If I couldn't say this in a very gentle way and a very calm way, then who the devil could?
Ask Ted, is the niqab, the almost full veil, in your opinion, an instrument of separation?
I think there's a great danger that we spend too much time on the veil. It's worn by a very small number of Muslim women in comparison to, I think there's 1.6 Muslim women, Muslims in this country. The real issue here, I think, was the context in which this got raised. It was a small story in a local paper which suddenly became a national and international issue. There were a whole series of other issues raised in the press at the same time about the Muslim community. The Muslim community felt almost besieged as a consequence of that. So we've got to separate the issue about the veil from the wider context, I think.
Just very briefly from the audience, who needs to say something? This gentleman here first. Yes, sir.
It seems to me that as the war in Iraq has got worse, then some government politicians have fed into that by identifying an internal enemy, and that has become the Muslim community in Britain. Now, therefore, for Jack, who's a very clever politician, to say that he didn't expect this to happen, I think he's kidding us on, and he knows that.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to let Jack reply to that, but very briefly, sir. We haven't got all night. We're not going to go to Iraq, or we'll be here till next week.
There's not increasing Islamophobia here. There is concern in the Muslim community, as well as everywhere else, about extremists who've been killing people and who've been justifying this by reference to their religion wrongly. And that's just a fact we all have to deal with.
Let me just remind you, you can listen to this debate in full on BBC Radio's Lancashire, Merseyside and Manchester straight after this programme. Tune in and have your say. But we need to move on now. Sorry, no, we're moving on from the veil. There's more important things. The veil is more than a matter of just modesty. It's a symbol of Muslim identity. And in this programme, we wanted to ask the question, what is it like to be a Muslim in the northwest of England in 2006?
Let's face it, we've all made snap judgments about people we don't know based purely on what they look like and how they dress. But has the furore over how some Muslim people choose to dress changed the way they view themselves and how others view them? Sisters Marianne and Kautha Akhtar mix freely with other faiths, but believe Jack Straw's comments have hindered integration by focusing people's attention on what they wear.
Different doesn't mean that we segregated from the society. Different just means it's part of our identity, but we can still socialise, we can still integrate with people as well as we do with anyone else. Just take an example of, I don't know, a lady in an office, and if you asked her to remove, for example, her blouse, how would she feel? So this is my opinion on the veil, that is something private, is something for me, and it is my identity, and if you ask me to reveal it, that's exactly how I'd feel.
But appearances do matter to biker Barry Tate. He feels the veil restricts communication in the same way his crash helmet would if he wore it all the time.
I like to see a person's face when I am speaking to them. 75% of the human language is facial expression. I do feel threatened by the veil. I have nothing against the Muslim faith or any other faith, but when they hide it behind the veil, then I do feel threatened.
Ralph Bashir regards himself as a Muslim first and British second. He's the project manager for Building Bridges, an organisation that promotes tolerance. He reckons Jack Straw has kick-started a healthy debate.
I think it's time that Muslims started to look at these issues, and are we presenting Islam in an attractive form to non-Muslims, or are we showing that Muslims are people who are not willing to compromise, not willing to just talk? There's no harm in talking and learning from each other and saying, yes, is this appropriate or is it not appropriate?
That was Andy Johnson reporting there. And Dr. Ahmed, I'll put it to you first. You're a Muslim, you're a GP. Since 9/11 and 7/7 and the debate on the veil, has it become more difficult to be a Muslim in Britain?
It has, but let's first of all mention the positive things. Being a Muslim in this country is a very positive experience. I think you can practice your religion and be free to be a Muslim in this country more freely than anywhere else in the world. Things have become a bit harder, and things like Jack Straw's comments don't really help the issue. There have been attacks in the streets. There is a human toll to all of this. We mustn't forget that in our comments, especially from cabinet ministers. We've got to make responsible comments.